Most people believe that buying expensive, shiny new tools from the big box store means they're getting quality that will last. But what they don't realize is that price tag has almost nothing to do with durability anymore. And in fact, some of the cheapest tools you can buy will actually outlive the expensive ones by decades. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why sticking with modern, premium garden tools could cost you not just hundreds of dollars, but literally your ability to grow food when you need it most. We're living in a time where the stuff we buy isn't built to last, it's built to be replaced. That's not me being cynical, that's literally how modern manufacturing works. Planned obsolescence isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a business model. And nowhere is that more dangerous than in the tools we rely on to feed ourselves. Think about where we're at right now. Grocery prices have gone up, 20–30% in the last few years? And they're not coming back down, we all know that. The systems that once worked, the supply chains, the just-in-time delivery, the assumption that the store will always have what we need, are now showing serious cracks. We've all seen the empty shelves. We've all felt that moment of panic when you can't find the one ingredient you need, or worse, when the basics are completely cleaned out. Here's the thing about a crisis. It doesn't announce itself with a warning label. It just shows up. And when it does, you can't run to Amazon and have a shovel delivered overnight. You can't order a quality hoe and hope it arrives before the frost. When things get tight, and I'm not talking doomsday prepper tight, I'm talking regular, everyday supply chain disruption tight. The only tools you'll have are the ones already in your hands. And if those tools are made of cheap pot metal with plastic handles that snap the first time you actually need to work hard soil, you're done. You're literally done. You can't grow food without tools. You can't amend soil, you can't dig potatoes, you can't move compost. You become completely dependent on a system that just proved it can fail. Systems that once worked, like affordable food at the grocery store, like reliable access to gardening supplies, like being able to assume quality equals price, are now completely broken. I've bought premium tools that cost $50, $60 that rusted out in one season. I've bought budget tools that bent the first time I looked at them wrong. The correlation between price and durability is gone. It just doesn't exist anymore. If you're not prepared, if you're not intentional about what you bring into your shed and your garden, you'll be forced to scramble when things go sideways. You'll be forced to overpay for garbage on Facebook Marketplace because it's the only thing available. You'll be forced to watch your food garden fail because your tools failed first. And honestly, that's a gut punch I don't want any of you to experience. I've been gardening for over 15 years. I've broken more tools than I care to admit. And somewhere along the way, I started noticing a pattern. The tools that survived, the ones that actually lasted, weren't the expensive ones. They weren't the shiny ones. They were the simple ones, the old ones, the ones your grandfather wouldn't have thought twice about. And here's the beautiful part. Most of them are still cheap. Dirt cheap, pun intended. So today, I'm walking you through 10 garden tools that you can buy right now for pocket change that will absolutely, without question, outlast the modern trash they're selling at the big box stores. These aren't nostalgia picks, these are survival picks. Let's get into it. Number 1. The straight spade, not the round point. At first glance, this seems like just another shovel, but what makes it powerful is the flat edge. It cuts through sod and roots instead of just pushing them around. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to break new ground fast when you need to expand your garden overnight. If you're considering this, look for solid socket construction where the handle goes through the blade, not just welded on. Number 2. The Collinear Hoe. At first glance, this seems too lightweight to do real work, but what makes it powerful is the efficiency. It skims just below the surface, slicing weeds off with minimal effort. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to weed an entire garden in minutes, saving your back and your energy for when you really need it. If you're considering this, look for sharp blade you can maintain with a simple file. Number 3. The Warren Hoe. At first glance, this seems redundant if you already have a hoe, but what makes it powerful is the triangle shape. It digs planting furrows, hills soil, and cuts weeds all with one tool. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to plant at scale fast when every seed in the ground matters. If you're considering this, look for forged carbon steel. The stamped versions bend. Number 4. The Cobra Coil Weeder. At first glance, this seems like an overpriced hook, but what makes it powerful is the leverage. It slides next to taproots and pulls the entire weed out, root and all. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to reclaim neglected ground without back-breaking labor. If you're considering this, look for thick-gauge steel. The cheap ones bend. Keep one in your car. Number 5. The Cape Cod Weeder. At first glance, this seems too specialized, but what makes it powerful is the narrow blade. It gets between pavers and around delicate seedlings without disturbing your crops. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to maintain intensive planting beds where every inch produces food. If you're considering this, look for hand-forged versions or hit estate sales for vintage ones. Number 6. The Pruning Saw, not loppers. At first glance, this seems slower than loppers, but what makes it powerful is the cut quality. It slices clean instead of crushing, which means faster healing and less disease. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to manage fruit trees for maximum production and clear storm damage fast. If you're considering this, look for a folding saw with impulse-hardened teeth. Number 7. The Hori knife. At first glance, this seems like a gimmick, but what makes it powerful is the versatility. It digs, cuts, saws roots, measures depth, and replaces 5 tools. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to work with minimal gear when you're walking to a garden plot or working multiple locations. If you're considering this, look for full-tang construction. The cheap ones snap at the handle. Number 8. The potato hook. At first glance, this seems only for potato farmers, but what makes it powerful is the curved shape. It slides under root crops without spearing or breaking them. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to harvest every single calorie you've grown instead of leaving 10% in the ground. If you're considering this, look for vintage ones at flea markets. The old steel hits the sweet spot. Number 9. The draw knife. At first glance, this seems like a woodworking tool, not a garden tool, but what makes it powerful is the ability to maintain wooden handles and even make new ones from scratch. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to keep your tools alive forever. When a handle breaks, you replace it instead of throwing the tool away. If you're considering this, look for comfortable grips and a blade without deep pitting. Number 10. The mill file. At first glance, this seems boring. It's just a file, but what makes it powerful is simple. A dull tool is dangerous and useless. The mill file sharpens everything. In a real-world scenario, this allows you to work harder soil with less effort, conserving calories when you need them most. If you're considering this, look for a 10-inch mill file and learn the basic motion. It's the tool that enables all other tools. Now here's where most people get it wrong with garden tools. They think that buying the most expensive option means they're buying durability. They see a $50 shovel with a fiberglass handle and a fancy grip and assume it'll last forever. But the truth is, price and quality haven't been connected for decades. Most of those expensive tools are made in the same factories as the cheap ones, just with different paint and packaging. The real quality? It's in simple designs that haven't changed in 100 years. It's in carbon steel instead of stainless. It's in wooden handles that can be repaired instead of fiberglass that shatters and can't be fixed. The myth that you have to spend big to get quality is exactly what keeps you trapped in the cycle of buying the same tool over and over again. Look, I want to be really clear about something. This isn't about panic. This isn't about doom scrolling and fear-mongering and waiting for the world to end. This is about positioning, plain and simple. The people who prepare quietly today, who buy the right tools, who learn the right skills, who build independence one small step at a time, those are the people who will have leverage tomorrow. Not leverage over others, but leverage over their own lives. The freedom to grow food when prices spike, the ability to help a neighbor when they're struggling, the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're not completely dependent on systems that keep proving they can fail. That's not fear, that's just smart. When the system struggles, prepared people don't panic, they don't scramble, they don't wait for someone else to fix it. They adapt, they protect, they preserve. And that's what this channel is about. Not fear, but freedom. Not panic, but preparedness. One tool, one skill, one step at a time. I'll see you in the next video. Stay sharp, literally.